Now that both the Nissan Z and the Toyota Supra is out, the question becomes, which one should you buy? They're very similar, and this is a question I've been asked a lot. Which of these would I buy? And of course, I'm gonna base it on the design mostly in this video. And to me, it's not really a question of which one I would buy. In this video, I'm gonna show you exactly why. On paper, these two are actually very similar. They both have around 400 horsepower. The Toyota Supra started with the 2020 model with 335 horsepower. The next year they pumped it up to 385 horsepower officially, but it's always a little bit more than that. It's about 390 horsepower, something like that. The Nissan Z, as we know, have 395, 400 horsepower in that range. They're both rear-wheel drive small sports cars, which I think we need more of in today's car environment. And of course, you have a 6-speed manual in the Nissan Z, and you have an 8-speed automatic in the Toyota Supra. You can't get the Supra as a manual, as I'm sure you know already. So which one would I buy here? Well, let's have a look at the design here. So this on top, of course, Nissan Z. The bottom, we have the Toyota Supra. So the design approach here is very interesting. They're obviously both from Japan, Toyota and Nissan. When you look at the design, it's such a different approach to their design language. To me, the Nissan Z looks a lot more restrained, a lot more classic than the Toyota Supra down here, and I personally prefer the dialed back, not over-styled design of the Nissan Z compared to the Supra. And I've never been able to get over this piece right here on the Toyota Supra. It just looks like it's a mistake in the 3D modeling that led to some sort of folding of the metal in the door. I never understood why they put this piece right here, why they made it look like that. And it's something that I thought maybe it was gonna grow on me. It's a little different of a feature, maybe it becomes cool after a while, but still it doesn't look good even though some time has passed right now. And another thing with the Toyota Supra is, first of all, I like the proportions. I like the overall silhouette and the styling of the Toyota Supra. What I don't like is also another thing that compared to the Nissan Z is a completely opposite approach to design and graphics, is that the Toyota Supra has a bunch of fake vents everywhere on the car, even here on the hood, and of course here in the front. And last but not least, you have this piece in the door. I don't know what it looks like, but if you know Alias 3D modeling and you get some problems with the 3D model and the surfaces get laid over to each other, and that's exactly what this looks like. Comparing the Supra to the Nissan Z at top, think about it like this. Which one of these do you think is going to look better 20, 25, 30 years from now? We already know that it's going to be the Nissan Z because of the simple, clean lines, and not just that, but also the relation to the original 240Z, which we know is a timeless, beautiful looking piece of art. The Toyota Supra here, I don't think it's going to be a very good car design long term. It's going to get old very quickly because of all these fake vents and overstyling that we see on the car. So let's have a look at the front view here. We can look at the door intake or whatever this is a bit more clearly right here. You can see that it looks weird. It's just something that I don't really understand why they put it there compared to the Nissan Z, which is super clean in its approach to design. Also in the front, have a look at both of these two Japanese companies doing the same type of car very differently when it comes to the styling. Look at how clean the surfaces and the design approach to the graphics here in the Nissan Z, and how much is going on in the front of the Toyota Supra here. It's not really a bad looking front end, it's just a different approach to the design. And if I had to pick one, I'm going to pick the one that's going to look good today and it's going to look good 40 years from now, and that is the Nissan Z up here. There's no question about that. This is a very trendy design. It's going to grow old 10, 15 years from now. It's not going to look as good as the Nissan Z. The thing is, when you look at these cars in a historical manner, if we compare which one looks best through the decades, the first generation, there is no question that the 240Z looks 100 times better than the first generation Toyota Supra. I think that there's not a lot of people that can argue with that. But then when we go into the 90s, we have the 300ZX, and that compared to the Mark IV Supra. Now we're starting to get a little more Toyota here in the design when it comes to timeless design. That's kind of what I want to focus on here, which will stand the test of time. Toyota Supra or the 300ZX, both are pretty simplistic in their approach. They have very different proportions, and the Toyota Supra, the Mark IV, looks very good today still, even almost 40 years later. The 300ZX still looks good today, but I don't think it looks just as good as the Mark IV Supra. And then we come into today's design and the previous decade. We come into a very cool string of Z designs. I love the 350Z. There is a lot of line flow and architectural approach to the design in the 350Z. The 370Z, I think, is a good looking car as well. It's a little bit more bubbly. It's like they took the 350Z and then applied some more smoothness and softness to that design, but it still has a very clear Z design. And now we have an even clearer, even more refined and sophisticated design of the Z. It's sophisticated, but at the same time it's a very simple design, taking the best from the generations of the past, applying it to the new Z. As you can see right here, you have the 300ZX inspired taillights right here. There's no fake vents anywhere. It's like the Z took the fake vent tradition that we have today and said we're not gonna put any fake vents on the car. Even in the front, let's have a look at the front here. I forgot to mention that they could easily have done something like right here to put some sort of fake vent in this crease that looks like it's made to house some sort of vent there. But no, they didn't go that approach. They only have the big vent in the front end, which is obviously functional, and there is nothing else going on this beautiful body of the Nissan Z. Compare that to the Toyota Supra, which has a completely different approach to vents and styling in general. Very bubbly, looks almost swollen compared to the Nissan Z. And that is basically the reasoning why I would pick the Nissan Z over the Toyota Supra. It's very simple. Which one looks better today and which one is definitely going to look better 40 years from now? And it's without a doubt is going to be the Nissan Z, thanks to its classy, timeless lines and the approach to the graphics as well. You can't really have, there aren't really any trends that you see in the Nissan Z that we have today, such as the fake vents that they apply to the car. It's a very simplistic design. And then of course you have the price point of these two. So the Toyota Supra, if you want the 400 horsepower Toyota Supra or the 388, 385 horsepower, that is comparable to the Nissan Z, you're gonna have to pay more, 8,000 or something like that, more than you would pay for the Nissan Z. So that's also another thing that has a Z going for it. And of course, if you want a proper driver's car, I don't understand why Toyota Supra didn't equip the Supra with a manual transmission. It doesn't make sense to me. They did the car with BMW. If you sit inside the Toyota Supra, you're definitely gonna feel like you're sitting inside of a BMW. So why they took all those parts from BMW, but they left out the great manual transmissions that BMW has in the warehouse, and didn't put that in the Toyota Supra, which is supposed to be the ultimate small sports car that focusing on driver experience. That's another thing that I think Nissan Z did a very good job in just putting the 6-speed manual in there, because they know that that's what people want. If you want to have a automatic transmission, you have the option to. But if you want to, have it be a pure driver's car, you have the option of a 6-speed manual. They give the option to me, the buyer, to decide if I want an automatic or a manual. Toyota, they just took that option away from everybody and said, hey, here you go with a 8-speed automatic, and we're not going to put a manual in the car, which I think is definitely the wrong approach, specifically for cars like these. But at the same time, I'm very happy, as I've said before, for both of these cars that they exist in today's world, in today's time, because we don't see a lot of cars like this. Even though the Supra doesn't have a manual transmission, it's still a good idea that they put it out even though it is underneath a BMW and there's a lot of BMW parts in there. It doesn't really matter. What matters is that they brought back the Supra name, they had some fun, and they created this fun car that we all can enjoy. So in the end, it's all up to you. Which styling do you prefer? Which type of driving experience do you prefer? To me, the driving experience, even though the Supra might, I don't know, but it might be a better handling or driving car than the Nissan Z. To me, the design, the exterior design, has always been a priority for cars. The exterior design, how the car makes me feel as I walk up to it or as I leave and look back at it, that is more important than having a little less handling over the Supra, for example. I'm not sure. I'm not saying that's what the Z is going to have, but if I were to prioritize things, if the Z was just lacking a little bit in driving over the Supra but looked this much better, I don't really care about the driving, and I'm sure it's going to be a spectacular car to drive. I'm just talking about the small margins here between the two cars. Let me know if this all made sense or not. Which one would you prefer? Would you pick the Nissan Z, or would you pay 8,000 or 10,000 more to get the equivalent performance in the Toyota Supra? Let me know in the comments below. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next video.